Hey everybody, welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own custom table. We're going to use Material UI and we're going to use our own data to integrate the basic components that Material UI gives us to make it our own. Okay, let's get started. First thing you want to do is navigate to mui.com, that's MUI.com. Material UI gives you an amazing library of things to work with. Let's start from here. You'll want to hover over Docs, then on Material UI, down to Components, and hover down until you see the Data Display section, and within that, the Table section. Now you can see an example of a very simple table, and it looks really great right off the bat. It has headers, right? It has each row with basic data. Now it doesn't let you click on anything, but we can get there in the next iteration. Here in this example, they show you how you can select by hovering over something and allowing you to select multiple at the same time. This is extremely useful if you want to attach an action to that. For example, a button that happens that's only shown once an item is selected. That's definitely what I'm going to do. You can see here it also shows you the pagination. In a real world case, this is extremely useful. You're never going to have, you're never really going to want to show a few tables. I mean, maybe sometimes you're going to show a few rows of data, but most of the time, in real world cases, it's lots of data, and we need to paginate for that. So scrolling through, we're going to see that you can actually make it a simple table that is not so dense if you want to cram a lot of data in. And another example here shows us that you can sort. This is super useful. This, I think, is the one I'm going to use. This is the one. This allows me to select multiple things, show an icon, sort, and do pagination. Okay, great. So let's take this one and implement it in our app. I have an app here that I'm going to plot our table. I have this perfect space for it. We're going to make a component. We're going to call it default table. You can do so in your own app under the components section. I'm building here a React.js app. It's really a Next.js app. And I've chosen to put the table under the table folder within the components called default table. So this is where you're going to paste all of that code. I'll do it from scratch here to show you here. If you click on this icon, you can copy the code. It displays it for you. It's actually kind of quite a lot, and we need to abstract a lot of it, including the data, of course, and many other things. So copy it by clicking here. Go to the spot where you want to paste your component. Do so. And then rename it to your custom name, default table in this case. I'm going to search for the export. They call it enhanced table. We'll call it default table. Not so enhanced yet. All right, so in theory, if we were able to import this from our sensor section from another component, you should be able to see at least what they have. And there it is. Here it is. Oh, amazing. It even gives you this option. Different rows. This is extremely robust, but we actually need to customize and abstract all of this, like we said before. So let's start doing that. The first thing is the data. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the data to live in that component. We want to be able to pass that data as props. We can do that like this. Go into the component itself. We find the data here at the very top. Actually, these are head cells. We can start here. Name, calories, fat, carbs, you can see. Calories, fat, carbs. Oh, that's cool. So do we really, yeah, we need to pass this through. Let's do that. So const cells, let's get rid of this. Head cells, And before saving it, we're going to go back to our component, paste it right on top, and pass it as a prop here. I don't need to pass the entire object. I could just do this. Save it. And on the default table side, I need to find out how it was being used. It was being used here, and that was the only reference to it. So instead, we're going to pass it as a prop to this, and enhanced table head will receive the prop. First, we need to add it. Let's call it. Oops. Let's say head cells, prop types. To explain this, we're just expecting it as a prop. It's going to be of type array, and yes, we're going to say that it's required. Okay. Now enhanced table head is really what we need to find. Cool. And let's pass the prop here. And where is it going to receive it? It's going to receive it from the main component here. Default table is going to receive the prop. This is a nice way of deconstructing the props. You can also pass the entire props object and deconstruct it there. We'll see if we need to get to that point. Save it. Okay, our first error, awesome. Head cells is not a function, 106. 106. Passing it here, enhanced table, it is a prop. It's got that going on. That looks good. I guess let's just say, make it explicit, see if this fixes it. But we are passing it. We are receiving it. Yes, this needs to be passed. So, there we go. Awesome. The data is now being passed through the other side. So let's change it to verify that. Instead of an ice cream sandwich, let's make it a... Oh, I'm sorry, just the head cells are so far. Instead of calories, let's make this calories with lots of S's. There you go. We can now control the data. At least this part of it. Let's get the items in. Frozen or ice cream. Okay, let's search those terms. There we go. Being passed as rows, cupcake 305, right? With each of the columns passed in basically represented in this fashion. Really kind of weird. Okay, so then they have a transform function that I guess just puts it into an object. We don't really need that, but we'll take it for now, I guess. All right, so rows come this way, and then it needs that function. No, we're gonna we can do better than this. Now, where are they used? First, rows map. Rows per page. Nope. A bajillion places, okay. Here we go, rows length. And rows.map. Handle select click all. passed as rows. Oops. Row count. It's definitely, at least just to know the length is used there. Visible rows takes a row. No, never mind. Yeah, table pagination takes the row length. And when we get the components themselves, default table, enhanced, but what about the row itself? Rows.map. Oh, well, of course. All right, so we just need to make this come from that. So handle, select, click. Even though the other things need row full length, I guess we can set the rows here. Is that worth it? Let me try it. Rows, set rows. I guess we'll make them empty to start with. And now we're gonna say, poof, as soon as this component starts, we're gonna just, oh, I guess we can just set it here. Rows. Maybe calling it something else. There's already an example. Let's just say props. No. All right, I'll call it table rows. So these guys, let's get them out of here and bring them in as table rows. Just for now. Awesome. Okay, now we are really controlling the data and the header, but we need to talk about what I did there really quickly to figure that out. So obviously they were just using data from their own static page that we no longer have, and instead we passed it as a prop. So the whole chain goes like this. This is the parent component. It's importing default table. It is then passing some data here in the form of an array, and each item in this array is being transformed using this function. Again, we can do better than this, but that's how they do it. So they end up with an array of objects. These are the keys for the objects, and these are the values. So once the table rows are assembled correctly, they're sent over as props. This receives them by going to the component definition as table rows, and we have our own state here, which we set right away as rows, because we're going to be using, they seem to be referenced in multiple places. So we're going to set them as rows. And as the default, really, there's no need so far to set them again. And now things that reference rows length, for example, like is selected, or this prop, will have the right length. And the function responsible for mapping each row, instead of using that static object, now can use the one in this state, in the local state. Awesome. So let's prove that really we control this. We don't want to say cupcake, we want to say la la la. I don't know why. But nothing. Well, this really blows my mind. Were there multiple cupcakes? What? And this cupcake comes from somewhere else. There it is. Oh, okay. So do we need to, let me see, if we might have a problem with states. Maybe not. Blah. Right, so doing that right away does not change the data, because it needs to be done again. Why is that? But if you do it twice, oops. No, it's really only when it takes it. So we need to figure that out. Either refresh it all the time. Is it just the props that are passed? I mean, the map, row.map, rows.map. Potentially we could pass it to this function. Let's explore that to see if it's even worth it. No, it just makes no sense to pass all the rows that way. That's what they do? Handle select all click? That's the only time? No, there's gotta be another one. Right. So visible rows map. What's visible rows? So it does seem like the visible rows has access to it, because it takes rows right here. Well, that can also be done. Okay, so let's just try doing it straight through as rows. Just to try and be annoying. If we pass it as rows, change the reference here as well. We have blah. And then if we do yes, we have the same issue. It seems to be okay. That is for another time. The data definitely changes though. Okay, so order by or dear by, interesting, great. Find a bug in their code. When did that happen? Okay, annoying. So here we have an option really. Do we want to sort based on the data that we passed it, or do we want to make this a callback? maybe I'll just leave you with a callback example because to show you how you can customize anything. All right, so what happens here when we click this? The delete icon is hover, but nothing happens. So let's look at the trash icon. Delete icon, all right. One second here. I was still kind of obsessed with that problem. All right, so the delete icon is here, and we have this icon button that does nothing so far. But we could have a specific action for what to do on delete, and that would look like this. On delete, what does it do? It executes on delete. You can do this if you want, and pass it the actual item. But for now, let's see that it works. On delete trigger this on a delete function that we have not even defined. Okay. Enhanced table toolbar. Cool. Enhanced table toolbar. Well, we're going to have a function. Is it func? Pro types. Yeah. Explain what I'm just doing again is I am defining this prop type here. Not sure if it's going to like it or not, but all right. There we go. And since enhanced table toolbar is what we need to pass, I need to see where we call that from default table. Here. Let's pass that. On delete. And on delete is gonna be received by the default table. Here. And default table is gonna receive on delete either, yeah, I think it would be better for you to define it outside. Let's define it. If I take an item, or an ID really, we can get that later. If you were to structure your own data, you can pass the resource ID, and that way you can make the appropriate post request or patch request or put request, whatever you need to do, but in this case you're going to delete it. So however, you can even flag it as deleted. You don't have to delete it from the database itself. So let's say, hey, got to delete. I wonder if this works. If not, let's trace why. Okay. Delete icon is clicked. So I like to basically start by making obvious assumptions. So we're going to go back to the default table, find that button on delete. So it's being passed by the default table. It receives it. And enhanced table toolbar, it's passed to that. Enhanced table toolbar gets it as props. Oh, it's props on, no, but it deconstructs it on delete. And then the icon, but oh, it's not on delete. This is on click. That's why. On click equals on delete. Save. And it works. Because the icon button component comes with the on click prop. which you can pass a function to. In this case, I passed it my own function that comes from a prop itself. And that's how it goes. So if you had the data needed here that was mapped based on the row itself, you would have the ability to have the ID. So that's how you do it. That's how you implement your own custom callbacks. And let's just actually implement a second icon here before we leave. So we can understand how to customize icons, data, and functions. All right, so it seems to me that when you're in this state of selected, it displays the delete icon. So let's see how that works. It says otherwise, this is the terminator function here, show the filter list icon. Okay, so what if we want to put a bunch of icons, not just one? Well, since React requires you to put, let's see if this works, a parent div. There's a shortcut. I think that should work. And you can see the structure, by the way, is a tooltip that wraps an icon button that you can put a function to click, and that wraps the icon itself. So let's duplicate this. A sibling here. The tooltip is going to be called edit. And let's add a pencil. And let's add an edit function. On edit, I'm going to go with edit icon, but it might be pencil icon. Let's see. To figure out icons, we can just Google Muli icons, first link, and we can search edit and find this guy. And you can copy this right away. A nicer way to do this regarding imports is to deconstruct them and import them all from material. You don't have to import them one by one, but this is just to show you. All right, so let's put it next to the delete icon. And since we already have it, if we save it, it might complain about the onEdit function. Let's fix that before we even show the code. Okay, onDelete. Let's copy that code. It's a function that's also required. Is it required? Should not be required. The other one shouldn't be required either. That's up to you. onEdit. So onDelete is called there. onEdit is passed here. Default table takes it, and then we're going to pass it to here. onEdit will be now available here. Let's see. Oh, we didn't actually pass it. Now we actually have to create it and send it. Go to edit. Cool. Seems like we should have the can on the other side, but that's just a matter of rearranging the icons. Okay, onEdit is not defined. Let's fix that first. Okay, 161. onEdit is not defined. Okay, that's true. We didn't add it once we deconstructed the props. Oh boy, still not there. Cool. Well, if onEdit is being passed to enhanced table toolbar, let's follow that. onEdit props on edit. And it even has it there. So if on edit is being sent, it's also being defined here. And if that's being defined correctly, it's also being sent here. Ah, look at this. Come on. Copying and pasting gets you into trouble. Oh, got to edit. Got to delete. Let's switch the order here. Just by searching icon. Let's get you there. I can hit Option up, right, and select a whole chunk of code. Yay. Looks great. Okay, now you've learned to add icons from Material UI. You've learned to create your own table with your own custom data and pass your own callbacks and do all sorts of fun stuff. I'll catch you soon with another lesson kind of like this. Keep following if you like this kind of stuff. If you want to learn how to code from someone who is a decent human being and wants to teach you. Okay, catch you soon.